careful what you say, because you are always listening. This is one of those ones that feels like a throwaway line. And yet, I think it is deeply and fundamentally true. What you believe, what you say to yourself, the things you surround yourself with, those core internal truths shape so much more of your life than any of us care to admit. And I was actually trying to explain this concept to my daughter tonight. I was putting her down for bedtime. She's got a little bit of a cold at the moment. She's like, I don't think I'm ever going to get better. And I was like, well, we can't say things like that. And she's like, why not? I think it's true. And I was like, because then it'll become true. The things that we say to ourselves are like prophecies. And we say them enough, they become real. They become truths. They become reality. And this is something that, again, we speak about this a lot, that if you can pass on to your children at a very early age, the language they use to describe themselves, the language they use to talk about themselves matters. And on a side note, how you talk to them now and how you speak about yourself and others now is the language they'll use as their internal monologue. So that matters. Don't think that the choices that you make, just because you might tell them something else, don't matter. No, they matter. More than you could ever imagine. But it's one of these skills that I don't think most of us have ever wrapped our heads around. What you say to yourself, what you have on repeat, the things that go round and round in your head, those statements matter. Most of success in life isn't about skill, isn't about talent, isn't about blessings or good fortune. It's about psychology. Granted, those things help. Not ever gonna lie. I'm not gonna blatantly say to your face that, oh, the guy who started with $10 million or the perfect genetics or those kinds of things doesn't have an advantage. Of course he fucking does. But he can still piss it away just as easily, if not more. It comes down to what's between your ears. It comes down to what goes round and round in your head and the choices that you make. Because also the choices you make can change at any point. You can start making different choices at any fucking moment. You can choose to live a different life at any moment. You just have to make that first choice and then start rewiring your brain for success. Start choosing success as the option. Because neurons that fire together, wire together. So the ones that you repeat over and over and over again become habits, become rituals, become ingrained things. They become programming that you fall back on. So you need to change what you choose. You need to change the choices that you make on a regular basis. You need to change, the verbiage that you use with yourself. Because that's going to dictate how so much of your life then plays out. The language that we use with ourselves. And this isn't new. The placebo effect is one of the most well-documented processes. Why we have to have such stringent, double-blind studies and things. Because most of the time, placebo is more effective than most drugs. What you truly believe will happen. It's like the old, concept of if you go home and tell yourself in the mirror every day for 30 days that you're going to die, there's a good fucking chance that you'll get really sick and die. You need to make different choices. You need to say the phrases. So if you keep telling yourself that you can't do this, or you're weak, or you're pathetic, or you don't have the discipline, or you don't have the mentality, or any of those kinds of things, you're correct. But you can build it. You can make choices to make it a reality. You can make choices to do the work and build it. Grit, determination, discipline, mental fortitude, mental toughness, all these kinds of things are skills that are developed daily. That's why there are no days off. Because you have to build that skill every single day. You must make the choice every single day to build that skill and progress you towards the life that you want. That's why I talk about fitness all the time. Fitness being the gateway drug to the life that you want. It sets the foundation. It is the most transferable skill to everything else you want. It builds discipline. It builds consistency. It builds intensity. It builds delayed gratification. It builds work ethic. It builds all these things. If you lock in for 126 days, with no exception, with no days off, you'll be a different human being. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You will show up in the world as a different person. But it takes that initial step, that initial choice, that initial decision to be that man. To be the guy who's willing to get outside of his comfort zone. Who's willing to change the narrative between his ears. You have that capacity. You have that opportunity. You have it daily. And it's not going to be easy. I keep being told that I shouldn't say those things. That I shouldn't tell you that it's not easy. But it's the truth. I'm not here to, powder your ass and give you a nice little treat and tell you that the world is okay and you're perfect just the way you are. No, fuck that. Fuck that for a joke. I'm going to tell you the truth. That it's worth it. But it's going to require sacrifice. It is going to require effort. It is going to require more than you think it should. And then demand a little bit more to make sure that you actually want it. But everything you want is on the other side of it. Everything you want and need is on the other side of that. If, and there's a big fucking if you are willing to do the work. But you have to start with that choice. You have to start with the voice in your head. You have to stop telling yourself that it won't work, that you can't do it, that you can't follow through, or whatever BS story you've got running on loudspeaker in your head. You've got to dim down that voice. You've got to crush the bitch voice and build up the boss voice. You've got to get to a point where you just make those decisions on autopilot. See, part of the problem is that we live our life on autopilot. We don't even think about it. 95%, maybe more, 99% of our life is with the zero thought process, depending on who you are. We drive the same way to work. We do the same rituals. We do the same things at work. We make the same choices. We eat the same foods. There's no definitive, will this progress me forward? Is this beneficial in my life? Should I be doing this? The classic example is doom scrolling. And we're all victims of that one. How easy is it to be like, just one more? And then you're just like sitting there like a fucking monkey pulling a lever. Oh, give me another fix, give me another fix. We all fucking do it. Mindless zombies. No thought process, overridden. But we have to start changing that. We have to start being cognizant of the choices that we're making. We have to make deliberate choices towards the life that we want, need, and deserve. That those in our life who love and adore us want, need, and deserve. But it starts with making definitive choices and changing the way you think about and talk about your life, yourself, your actions, all those kinds of things. And the harsh reality of it all is it might also mean changing who you spend time with. Because I don't know about you, but I certainly, around the right or the wrong types of people in this circumstance, you fall back into old language, you fall back into old traps, and the language that you use is not the right one. And it is detrimental to that. And detrimental to your progress and you becoming the man you want to be. Now, if that's who you spend the majority of your time, well, that means that the chances of you ever breaking out of that are next to none. Because you'll keep going round and round in those circles. Remember, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you look around at the 5 people you spend the most time with and you don't want their lives, if you don't want to continue being that way, then you need to change. And that's a harsh reality that people don't want to face. That the people you are spending your time with could be the reason why you don't have the life that you want, or aren't happy with the life that you're in. Because they're bringing you down. They're holding you back, and they're preventing you from, well, becoming the man that you want to be. So you might have to have a really strong look at those that you surround yourself with and start to reevaluate whether they're actually worthy of your life. And this is this thing about friends and family especially that people don't want to face. They're like, well, they're family, or we've been friends since, back in the day. Yeah, cool. Get it. Understand it. It doesn't mean they have any place in your life. Longevity or blood does not warrant a place in your life. Improving your life, bringing value to your life, being someone of substance, of quality, of improvement, warrants them in your life. A quid pro quo. And people are like, that's very transactional. And I was like, life is transactional. You should give it both ways. It should be both ways. It should go both ways. But if someone is constantly drawing you down, pulling you back, taking you back to a life that you don't want to be, or the person that you don't want to be anymore, that person needs to be taken out of your life. That is just the reality of the situation, or you will forever be stuck fighting against them, and they will just keep bringing you down because you serve a version of them that they like. And you remind them of the version of them that they're refusing to be. And they will never change. So cut them out of your life. Because it's predominantly the words between your ears. But if those same words that you're trying to break free of keep getting repeated back to you by those you're surrounded by, well, it might be time to make better choices. It might be time to cut the dead weight and move on. See, unfortunately, the reality of this world is not everybody is meant for greatness. Not everyone is meant to be the greatest version of themselves. And I don't mean just cut them because you feel that you're better than them. That is by no stretch of the imagination what I'm saying. I'm saying cut them because they don't help you become the greatest version of yourself. Those around you, those closest to you, those in your inner circle of 5 should elevate you. They should push you. They should challenge you. They should lift you up, and they should support you. If they're trying to belittle and downgrade you, if they're trying to prevent you from doing the work that you know you should do, if they're trying to hold you back from growth into a better version of yourself, something that you know you desperately need, then they aren't friends. They aren't close to you. They are using you to serve a purpose. And they will dislike what you do because if you change, it shows that it is possible. If you decide to do the work and grow, it shows them that they have made a choice. They chose this. They chose to be here. They didn't have to, they did. It's why people who come from the same background and the same lifestyle as you resent you when you change, when you grow, and when you become the greatest version of yourself. Because you've shown that it wasn't about where they came from, that their excuses and their stories about people like us don't do that goes out the window. So start checking not just the voice in your head, not just the words that you use, but the words others use to you. The words others use to talk to you. And make sure all of it is in an alignment towards the greatest version of yourself. Because words become reality. They're repeated enough. They're executed enough. If they are on the loudspeaker going round and round and round, that's what will become your reality. That is what will become of your life. So the choice becomes yours. Are you willing to set that aside and regret that you didn't become the greatest version of yourself? Or are you willing to make some tough decisions? Put aside the words that you've said, put aside those people who are not there to support you, and do what is necessary to become the greatest version of yourself. Like always, it's not fucking easy, but it's damn well worth it. It is. But only you can make that decision. So if you're ready for that, click the link in my bio, join Demanding Greatness, or comment Demanding Greatness, and see who you can be on the other side. Can't wait to see you there.